Good morning. Welcome, you guys. This is the episode 1 of the BHE podcast. Young person talking about important things in the future. So today we're talking about an important one that not a lot of people my age really talk about, which is real estate investments. And when I say real estate investments, that really throws people off. They really get turned off by it, and I think it's just because the negative impact that word draws. So a lot of people think that real estate investing, especially if you're young, is you need a ton of money. You got to put a lot of money down to even start this venture, to even start building something to that extent. And they always do, me including, look at the super successful real estate people. You know, the ones who are cajillionaires. They have millions of dollars, thousands of properties. And they've got big companies that run it. They do it all for them. But just like everything, most everything, even like actors, people who are really big in Hollywood, you always look at them in their successful stage, but you never go back to look at them when they started. You know, everyone kind of just guesses, well, they came out of nowhere. You know, they showed up, they just did this. But turns out, in the background, they've been doing a ton of stuff. And there's a giant real estate dude named Don Julian, who's from my area. He develops a ton of properties. He has his own giant castle on the side of this big lake. But he's been doing real estate since like the 70s. So he's really old now, and his son and his family takes over. So again, I had no idea. No one looks at it from that perspective. Another actor too that I like to look at is and comedian is Kevin Hart. I remember seeing Kevin Hart back, it was like 2007, in a little movie spoof of Spider-Man. And he had like 2 or 3 scenes in it and was like the best friend, and he was hilarious, and I didn't know who he was. And then out of nowhere, he started popping up, started coming on the radar, and you know, now he's one of the biggest comedians and movie stars in the world. So you never know. You always look at people in their successful stage, but not in the beginning. So let's get back to what we were talking about. We were talking about real estate investing. So a lot of people think you need a bunch of money up front, which is a total bogus BS lie. And again, I believed that lie for a long, long time. But until I started getting out there, really expanding my horizons, with a lot of free resources, believe it or not, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, a lot of people give out free information. It's free. It's out there. It's ready for you to grab. You can pick it up. It doesn't cost you anything. And all you have to do is put in the time and do the research. So another thing that I was looking at is there's a group called Bigger Pockets. They are real estate moguls. They're geniuses. They've got a podcast out there too. They've got books. They've got everything on social media. If you want to know more about real estate and creating a future with it, definitely go see them, because they've not only influenced me, but they've influenced people that I've even known that I haven't seen for like 5 years, that I used to go to high school with, that are now up and coming giant successful real estate people. And one of them is this gal. She's awesome. She's super smart. One of these days, mark my words, one of these days, you know who you are. I'll probably let you know later on. But one of these days, when this gets big enough, I want to have her on the show and we can talk about it and have her give you more detail from her experience. Because for me, I haven't actually been able to start. So I just started doing this myself a couple months ago. So I've been learning and just diving into this stuff this entire time. And now, at this moment in time, I'm ready to move forward with it. I'm ready to pursue it. And so she just has more experience in that arena than I would personally from her actually doing it. So it's cool that someone that I knew growing up, who was known for one thing, which was like, you know, what you think, the girly things, like high school, girly girl, like dancer type, is now a successful real estate investor. It's awesome. I'm super proud of her. And so yeah, we'll mark my words. We'll get her on the show. I promise. And the thing with this is, the book I would recommend, also with the Bigger Pockets, is called The Book of Rental Property Investing: How to Create Wealth and Passive Income Through Smart Buy and Hold Real Estate. And that's also by Bigger Pockets, right here, by Brandon Turner. genius book. I'm reading it nonstop. I'm highlighting the crap out of it. So definitely pick that up. But a thing we're talking about today, which is going to be the base level that I was informed about by this girl I'm talking about, who I grew up with. She said she made a killing doing something she heard was the AirBNB hack. And I have a video on YouTube as well under BHE Podcast about it with a little more detail. Kind of quick cut information and kind of copy and paste 6-minute video. And in that it talks about you can be a real estate investor without actually putting any substantial amount of money up front or owning the property. You can make a good amount of money, close to 6 figures, just by managing less than 10 properties, and you don't even own any of them. So we're going to talk about that in the podcast today to reach a new audience, a new group of people who are my age who want to make a future for themselves. And again, it's going to be different through my eyes because I am young. I am 23, but I do have a 6-year-old. So I've been his parent since he was, obviously since he was born. So it's been me most of his life. His mom is there and everything, but he's got to depend on me. She's got her own things going on. So for me, I knew that I needed a future for my son. He needed something he could be proud of his dad for, and that I could provide for him because he's done so much for me. My son Madden saved my life. I mean, no exaggeration about that. He's made me a better person. He's created a good kind of monster in me. He's created this responsible, hardworking individual who won't stop until he gets what he wants. And the least I can do for my son is to make sure that, one, he knows that, gets to experience my love because I love him to death. But another important thing is, making sure that the two of us are financially stable, we're financially successful, And I've had that idea for him since I was a little kid. Not a little kid, since I was, I guess I was a little kid because I was 17 years old. But the moment he came into my life, I was like, I don't want him to have to, financially struggle. So that was just to say that this whole path has been started because of my son and the future I want to give him. And a lot of people do that too. A lot of people that's their why, They want their kids to be successful and they want, themselves all to be successful. Which, that's the best thing. I mean, honestly, kids are the best. Kids are great. But anyway, so this Airbnb hack. So, for example, say you have an apartment, okay? You can start out small. Say you live in an apartment right now. You can rent out one of the rooms at Airbnb, and you can make money that way. That's simple. That's how to start. That's how you can test the waters. Becoming a host, there's about 13 steps. So step 1, you choose your property type, whether it's an apartment, house, bedroom, another unit, unique space, boutique hotel, bed and breakfast, any of that. They'll give you the specific property type. And then the second step, you're going to get your guest information. So whether they have the access to the entire house, private room, is it a shared room, specifics on the actual property that you have. Then you show how many guests are allowed. Obviously, if you can only handle 4 guests or you only want 4 guests in your house, put 4. Pretty obvious. Make sure you specialize the sleeping arrangements as step 6. Step 7, put how many bathrooms. 8, put your address. 9, all the amenities. Like if you're an apartment complex and you have a pool, that they can have access to that pool by being at the apartment complex. Things like that. 10, any specialized spaces that the guests can use that aren't already specified in the guest information. Take your pictures, add the photos, make sure they're high quality photos, really grab the attention of people. Add the description of your location, your house, what you're close to. So, for example, if you're near city center, put that because then they're within walking distance or they have public transportation that can take them all around. That's very useful for them. And then step 13 is to adjust the guest calendar. So you can adjust settings, like if they need to give you a week in advance to schedule, a day in advance, whichever. It gives you that last step. And then you're a host. And that could just be, step 1 would be to test your own apartment. If you have success with that, then you can move on to this next step, which is turning an apartment into a rental property without owning it. So, for example, if you have 2 bedrooms and you rent one out, say you have one, someone can rent it out. Say you do it 26 days out of the year. Okay, a good average is say 26 days. So say every day but one day a week, someone's in there. 4 weeks in a month, minus 4, 26, 30 minus 4, 26. Okay, so that right there, which is $60 a night, is the average that you can get for a room by the city with all the fancy stuff. That's $1,500 a month right there, just by offering up a bedroom. So say your rent for the apartment you live in now is $900. You just made $660 for renting out a room. So the thing of that here is, imagine doing that with a unit that you don't live in. So you get a 2-bedroom apartment and you do the same thing. You can double that. That's about $1,300 a month right there, just by doing nothing but maybe cleaning up after the people who are there, double checking the apartment's nice, and there's a lot of, and again, you got to factor in utilities and a bunch of that kind of stuff. But I mean, for the given, that's a good amount of money for not really having to do anything, and you don't own it. So those are the pretty big advantages. 1, you don't own the place. 2, you don't have to live there. And 3, you never have to pay rent. You can live rent free, and that can be as small or as big as you want to make it. So you could do it with your own house, and you could live for free, right? That's the basic. Or you could have managed 6 to 8 of these properties and make over 6 figures just managing them. And again, that's just the same thing. So what you do is, in order to make money with this, you're going to have to take some responsibility on yourself, which is understanding that you have to, until about, I would say, property 3, you're going to be doing this pretty much by yourself. Because then after that, you can afford to hire, say, a property manager to help you manage your properties. So another key thing is, a lot of people say that Airbnb isn't good because you don't like to share with other people, or I don't want to be in a room with a stranger or whatever. But if you go over, my buddies have gone over to like Russia, for example. They've taken trips over there. They have public housing that's the exact same way. You literally share a room for like $40 a night, and you all have bunk beds. And they did it, and I said, why? And they go, because it's cheaper than a hotel. So the people don't mind staying with each other, especially if it's like the weekends, or like if it's a special event going on. And if it's in the weekends, they probably won't mind paying a little bit extra, because $60 is at least half the rate of a hotel over there. Maybe more than that. I guarantee you a hotel in city center where I live is probably like $180 to $200 a night. So they are not going to care, especially if they're getting, no offense, if they're getting tanked or wasted or drinking all night and then they come home. I mean, they're going to pay you anyways. It doesn't really matter where they're at or who they're with. They're going to be there. Now, again, the important part of that is it is possible, they will pay, but the responsibility you have is a little bit higher when you start adding more properties onto yourself. So again, it's all up to you. It's your work ethic. Do you want to just have rent for free? You can do that. You can stop there. Never have to pay for rent again. That's my base level right now. My base level is they call it house hacking as well. It's a house hack. Another example is like a duplex. So if you have a duplex, live in one half, rent out the other, pay off the mortgage that way. They pay the rent, they pay off the loan on the duplex, and then you're good. You're rent free forever. So this is the exact same thing, except this time you don't have to go through the process of getting an FHA loan, putting like 3% down for it. You can get an apartment. Pretty simple. I've lived in a lot of apartments. You can go in there, rent out an apartment, rent it out with the weekends. That's your moneymaker right there. Honestly, the weekends are going to be your biggest moneymaker. But you don't even have to stay at the house is the key thing. So you don't even have to be there. You don't have to own it. It's just kind of the easier way before stepping into being an actual, before owning rental property. So it's a good test of the water. And obviously the key to that is to repeat that. And once you get about 6 2-bedroom apartments, estimated where I am, and you can rent it out really well, then you're going to be making it's not unfathomable to make 6 figures doing that. And again, an average. I looked it up. The average cost of a property manager is $32,000 a year. If you make simple math, you make $100,000. That's 32% of your total profit, and that's a small chunk of change. And then that's technically passive income because you're not having to do anything. Because if you hire the property manager to manage those properties for you, maybe you pay her $40,000 for travel. I mean, you can sit back and take a good chunk of profit. But the hard part is, I guess, starting. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I haven't done this yet, but my good friend told me that she made a killing doing this. And that's what she told me. She said before you get involved in any rental investing or any kind of stuff that in your area, my area, that is, sorry, coffee break, that is, for example, having to take out an FHA loan. So she's ahead of me. She's already doing that. She has a duplex. She's house hacking. She's dominating out there. Her renovations are on point. She's got granite countertops, stainless steel appliances. She's killing it. So she's ahead of me on this. So the key to this is just stepping out, and that's really tough for me to do. I can say it's because I don't want to put myself in failure, but I won't, because technically where I work right now, my job is secure. Okay, right now I don't have to live there if I don't need to. So right now I could just continue to be like, I could move back with my parents. Okay, I could move back with them. I could rent this out and see how it goes. I literally could do that. And if it doesn't work out, then I can go live there because I can afford to live there. So that's a good safety net for me. And shoot, I can't wait. To be honest, it's scary, but I can't wait because I can see the progress of doing it. And a lot of people, or including me, I'm not going to lie, what I was going to say, it's scary. Like, when you do something that isn't the norm, it's scary. I'm not going to lie to you. It definitely feels weird. It feels, no one else is doing this. But then you got to realize that's probably why a lot of people are more successful, and you can see them doing that because they took that extra step. And for example, my current job, so I've gone to school for automation engineering, and I got one of my first jobs, and it's working in a manufacturing plant, working on their machines, and I'm not, the first couple months of not really knowing anything, being first to do it, my first job, it's you don't know what to do. You freak out. Like, I remember having to do something super simple, like replace a switch or something. And it took me forever because I was just having this extreme panic attack. Like, I'm going to get fired. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm young. I'm dumb. I don't know what to do. When in reality, I'm smart. Be patient. Just calm down. And you can get it done. And now I've been there over a year. And, man, I had a great performance review. And I love my job because of that. So, but it was obviously really tough in the beginning, just like everything. It's going to be tough for you to get involved and get started with it. But again, once you can, that's, even if you just do the 2-bedroom apartment, if you have one section, like just a 2-bedroom apartment that you can properly manage by yourself near the city, and you can keep that, and you can run it, and you can make a profit of $700 a month, you are making an additional $700 a month that you never had to do anything for, other than go get the apartment complex. You know what I mean? So it actually turns into an actual passive income, not like the BS that you always get on Instagram, or like create passive income with these online marketplaces and stuff. No, this is not any of those scams. This is a legit, actual real estate is going to be here forever. Everybody needs a place to live. Simple as that. Everybody needs a place to live. And if you can have a place that people can live at, that you don't have to break the bank for, and you can create actual passive income. I think most of the millionaires in America are made from real estate, and the other 30% is made from the stock market, and I think 10% is like other in the other category. So real estate is the number one thing that has always created wealth. And again, you can even take this as step one, because that's what I'm doing. So Airbnb, I'm going to conclude here, by the way. I don't want to drag this out, talk, and try and make this an hour talk about it for my first episode, because I've already told you the information. I have the video out there, and I have a link in the description that you can click on to see all my notes on it. So it's out there. You can go get it. So the thing I'm going to conclude with is that this is going to be your step one, especially if you're young like me in your 20s and you don't. For example, if you didn't have a kid or you don't have a kid, it's perfect. It's your step one into creating a future, a successful financial future for you that isn't dependent on, giving your time for money. It's the opposite, So I would say it's not a bad step for you. It's not a bad step to get out there and try it at least. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, it's not necessarily a high risk, high reward scenario. It's just taking that single step. But yeah, I'm pumped. I'm excited. Again, the resource that I would recommend is the Rental Property Investing by Bigger Pockets. Okay, author's name is Brandon Turner. Definitely a good read. That would be step two. So after you test this Airbnb hypothesis, I would go ahead and grab that book, grab a highlighter, and spend, like I do, 45 minutes to an hour a day reading. Just diving into it. When you highlight, every time I highlight the information, I always have notes. So I write down the notes, I write down my plan, and now all over my door right here is just papers of goals that I will highlight and complete. So 2020 is a year of changing, and I'm ready to make this change, and I hope you guys are too. So anyway, if you want to check out more information, again, that video is on BHE Podcast on YouTube. Just posted it this morning. Thanks for joining me. This is episode 1 of many. And I hope we can get, what's her face? I'm not going to say her name, because it's rude if I don't ask. Hopefully I can get her on the show, maybe on a phone call or something. We can have more of a discussion and see more in depth of how she got to be where she is. Anyway, thanks for listening. This is Chase Mercer, and be on the lookout for episode 2. Thank y'all. There you go. Stop it. Stop recording. Stop.